All right, here we go. So we have two different AIs here, of course. One is Soldier, who was scripted by Toby, who has a few other AIs in his tournament. This is the oldest of the AIs that he has in this tournament, and this is the only one that is made without restrictions, so it can use all the user patch abilities, DC, and everything. And it will often go for a swordsman rush and try to overwhelm the enemy with swordsman. And the name Soldier kind of can give that away. And then meanwhile we have a Scout, who is one of the AIs scripted by Elias, and the trademark of his AIs is that they play very aggressively, so we should be seeing a Scout rush from him. So you have a lumber camp from Scout, while the rest of the villagers are gathering geese out from underneath the town, not underneath the town center. I'm just checking to see if, so we got two geese here that weren't found yet. So I wonder if some others might not have been found. Yeah, so we just have some others exploring. So that might be why they weren't gathering underneath the TC. We got boar hunting happening for Scout. Meanwhile, Soldier has a lumber camp and is bringing the rest of the geese toward the TC. And we'll see if Soldier finds these geese. Just barely missed them. And Soldier bringing in the first boar. And then we do have a chick in Arabia. So I can't remember if Soldier will do something to take care of the chickens or not, if he'll long distance gather from the chickens, if he'll chicken mill, if he'll ignore them entirely. We've seen different approaches from AIs in this tournament on how to take care of that. But we do have a forage mill from Soldier. Oh, we have a whole bunch of villagers assisting on this boar. It might be killed outside the TC. Okay, that's a bummer. I think those other villagers were tasked to help attack the boar too quickly. We got a mill for the chickens. So let's see. Okay, I was checking for loom. So Soldier's got loom, and Scout's also got loom. So it looks like both AIs are about even on villager counts and idle TC time. But it looks like Scout was a bit quicker on the hunting. But currently, resources collected are about the same. But that might jump up really quickly for Scout here with the food collected. Yeah, so jumping a little bit ahead. I think if we check the resources here gathered and capture age, about the same. I think Scout is probably slightly ahead overall, including currently. And then we got a barracks from Soldier. I think we're getting close to around the time when Scout would try to click up to feudal age, and yes indeed, we've got feudal age queued up here for Scout. So 21 villager feudal, 22 pop. I always found it interesting that in this game we usually talk about like 22 pop feudal, 20 pop feudal, and like include the Scout in the population rather than counting the number of villagers. I guess the population count is easier to check in game, but it always felt more intuitive for me to like talk about how many villagers were trained in each age. All right, so we got some militia getting started for Soldier. And as long as these militia get upgraded to men-at-arms quickly enough to face Scout's Scout rush, then I think those men-at-arms will do fine. But if they're just militia attacking Scouts, especially Scouts with any upgrades from the Magyars with that +1 attack, the militia will just die really quickly. But it looks like we're going to have a drush here from Soldier. Got a stable place for Scout as well as a forage mill. And Soldier is now ahead on resources collected, just due to having more villagers collecting before going to feudal age. No man-at-arms yet, but we might once 10 more food is collected. And still no man-at-arms upgrade. Maybe trying to make sure that villagers can be trained. Alright, so we got a scout trained from the stable. So superior numbers, the scout went down. Let's see the same thing. Alright, so the scout did properly attack the one with the lowest HP, but the second scout went down as well. It looks like Soldier is using TSA, so unfortunately for Soldier, that means that these looks like the Eagle Scout joined them, but these militia are going to get stuck on attacking this mill instead of trying to attack the economy with the lumberjacks or the foragers here. Second lumber camp for Scout. But we do have TC avoidance from Soldier, which is really important for its rush. That's something that Toby's other AIs, the King and the Conqueror, can't do, just because of the self-imposed limitations. And the Scout is exploring away and luring the Soldier's armies away. So it looks like Soldier, when playing Aztecs, tries to go for Eagle Scouts instead of going into men-at-arms. Maybe we'll see the men-at-arms upgrade eventually. I'm trying to remember if the Eagle Scouts have an attack bonus versus Cavalry in Feudal Age. Yeah, it looks like they don't. I think they'll get a free attack bonus once they get to Castle Age. Alright, so the Scout finally goes down because it trapped itself into a forest. And Scout's eco is seems to be much slower, even though the economy hasn't been hit. I don't feel like that's just because of the Aztecs having better, having their eco bonus, but maybe it would be. I'm curious to see when Scout might get the +1 armor. First, they need a blacksmith. So we got the blacksmith coming up here. Because the +1 armor would do really well against the Eagle Scouts and the militia. I think they, for attack, reducing that to 3 would be a big deal. Alright, and the Scouts are hitting Soldier's eco, but looks like they're backing off perhaps to go back to defend the town. But it looks like Scout's military numbers are now higher than Soldiers, and you can see numbers starting to jump in Scout's favor here. Looks like we got some deer pushing from Scout. Looks like a second barracks from Soldier. So comparing the scores, so we got 350 military score versus 213. I think that's where Scout's military advantages or score advantage is coming from. We got some economy as well, and that's not coming from resources collected. So that's probably just purely from advantage of like units on the map, perhaps, like villagers. I'm not exactly sure where the higher economy score is coming from. But Soldier is higher on resources collected, so that shows that I think Scout's going to need to cause some damage now with his military advantage. Or else I think Soldier will get ahead the longer the game goes on. We also have some spears from Soldier encountering the Scouts. But with Scout being on the aggressive, I wonder if we'll start seeing Soldier's eco idled a bit more and being able to even out the resources collected. And I wonder if, yeah, it looks like Scout has some spear avoidance, detecting which unit the spearman is trying to target, and then retreating that unit away from the spearman. And Soldier is one of the few AIs that will try to wall with the default walling system. And unfortunately, I think, well, I like the idea behind like using walls. I think usually these are a waste of resources for AIs. They're just not intelligently placed enough and waste too much wood when the kind of the micro walls just for resources would be a lot better spent, but it's really hard to make an AI that can use those intelligently. You basically have to have nearly full DC eco with the villagers. So we got a pretty even KD here. Soldier's killed 9 villagers while Scout has lost, or Scout has killed none. Because we are seeing Scout really trying to target the Soldier's military units instead of trying to run away from them and kill villagers, which I think might be a better strategy when going with a Scout rush. But we have a Scout's numbers are jumping higher and higher. Yeah, we also have the economy evened out now at this point. It looks like the Scouts aren't properly retreating from the town center. Or maybe they are now, or they're just like targeting the villagers and military units that are nearby. And Scouts don't have that much to worry about with town center fire. It's 6 attack versus 3 armor. So at least the primary projectile would do 3 damage. I forget what damage the... Oh, actually I think TC arrows are always secondary projectiles. So yeah, each arrow from the TC would do 3 damage. It's not like a Mangano where the first projectile does 40 damage and the others do 1. So yeah, pikemen from Soldier that could really, as well as the Cat Slage, of course. So if we get enough pikemen on the field and have them actually attack the correct soldiers, attack the correct scouts, instead of attacking one that's running away, then these pikemen could drive these scouts off. But importantly, Scout does have some spearman avoidance, I think. I think you can kind of see that the normal like defense targeting system, where what controls which units are picked as targets when defending, is not usually that smart. You can see a lot of these pikemen just getting killed off here as they're trying to find the next scout to attack. Alright, so we got a second TC from Soldier. We'll see if that goes up. I think it will, especially with 8 villagers going to build it. So we got 30 scouts on the field. Oh, and TC was stopped. But yeah, this should end in victory for the Soldier, even with his pikemen. Alright, it should end in victory for Scout, even though Soldier's making pikemen. Just 17 villagers left against 68, with 35 military for Scout. There's not much that the Soldier can do. And just a couple of villagers outside the TC at this point, so I'm going to call the game. So here we go, you can see the eco swing here when Scout was able to start attacking. And military numbers. And then villager numbers. And if we go look over at the game, alright, so nice victory for Scout here. Let's see what happens on Arena. Let's see which civs. I think Soldier does the same civs for Arena. Yes, that's correct. While on Arena, Scout goes for Hindustanis instead of Magyars. Yep, that's correct. Alright, so let's get started on Arena. Alright, so we got a chicken in Arena. And I don't know which AI will be the one attacking first. Maybe Soldier, or maybe Scout. If Scout attacks first, I don't think there'll be a lot that Scout would immediately threaten. The gold is in the back. The stone is something that Soldier's probably not going to need. The forge wishes were probably gathered before Scout attacks. But we do have this lumber camp that could be vulnerable. Maybe you could build one right here instead. That'd be a bit safer. But either lumber camp is going to be something that might be hard to protect. Meanwhile, over in Scout space, forge is in the back. Gold is off to the side, but Scout shouldn't need the gold all that much. The hares are in the front. And looks like Scout has missed a couple of the sheep. What is that? Ah, you can select the hawks and capture age. They just don't show an outline, or I guess they like show that little circle. Anyway. So hopefully Scout finds these geese soon. Yeah, we do have foxes. Actually, I don't know if there's any generations of Arena that don't have foxes. I haven't actually checked to see how often foxes appear in Arena. So both AIs are pretty even on idle TC time and villager numbers. Soldier is slightly ahead on resources, but yeah, like at this point in the game, they can really quickly flip-flop between who has the most resources collected. Just based on when villagers drop off resources, especially for hunting, since they carry so much. So we got a chicken mill for a scout, just like in Arabia. Second elephant coming in for soldier. And we got a barracks in the back here. Alright, so scout is getting loom, and I wonder if we might have feudal age coming after that. Yeah, should have the resources for it. Okay, I guess one more villager. 19 villager feudal might be a bit aggressive on arena. Yes, I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. A strategic number that helps place mills on chickens. It should be the same one that encourages placement of mill on deers, since chickens are deer class. It would be, you want to be able to pick between chickens or deer. It would encourage both at the same time. Yeah, it's SN preferred mill placement. You can choose 0 to encourage forage, 1 for deer, or 2 for shorefish. Meanwhile, it looks like Scout has found a soldier's base, and has soldier found Scout yet? Looks like it. We got feudal age for Scout, building disabled, of course, followed by a second mill, and unfortunately, I think that's not what Elias wanted his AI to do. I think he wanted it on the berries. So I wonder if we'll get a third mill on the berries, or if they'll have to like long distance gather those forage bushes. Mining camp for soldier. Placed a while ago, I'm sure. Doesn't look like soldier goes for militia for a drush on arena, which makes sense. Instead, it looks like we got some Eagle Warriors, Eagle Scouts being trained. And just in case you don't know, the Eagle Scout is actually the same unit ID as the Eagle Warrior before HD and DE. It was actually the Castle Age Eagle Warrior that was added to the game once the unit line was extended into the feudal age. So if you ever see some AIs that use Heavy Eagle Warrior, that's kind of like the default name that the game uses for the Castle Age Eagle Warrior. But anyway, most of the time you can just use Eagle Warrior line or Eagle Warrior, and you don't usually have to worry about the fact that like which one is the feudal age version, which one's the Castle Age version, and so on. Alright, so soldiers down with the forage bushes. And my guess is that soldiers trying to get to Castle Age. But we have some scouts coming from a scout who are trying to find a way in, it looks like. Alright, so we got a gate is under attack. Let's see if others join him over on the right. We got some Eagle Scouts coming to help defend. Looks like that scout is running away. So I think it's instead of just being specifically spearmen, I think it's scouts running away from any unit that's trying to target them. So these Eagle Scouts should die, I think. Yeah, we got some spears coming out from Soldier. A bit quicker than last game. Alright, one scout is down. And we got the +1 armor coming from Soldier, which should be important. Meanwhile, no Blastsmith upgrades from Scout. And I think if Scout can try to... Hopefully Scout can get the wood for a market, because we have a huge amount of gold that's piling up for Soldier. And sound that off could be really important. Either that or a second barracks that can train these Eagle Scouts and spearmen at a faster speed. And there we go. I think Soldier was listening to me. There's the market, and hopefully you can start selling off some of that gold. And second barracks. Unfortunately, no matter what units you train, if you're going to attack one unit at a time like this, this is not going to do well. I think it's really important for AIs to, instead of sending units in one by one like this, but to rather gather them up in bunches and then send them out to attack. But you also don't want to wait until you have, like, wait 5 minutes until you get 10 soldiers and then attack, because usually all that time spent not defending can really cause some damage for on your town. Something that I was doing for the tournament with my AI is I experimented with extending the garrison times in the buildings, and also experimenting with, like, gathering the soldiers nearby the TC, and so there's enough defend soldiers to go out and attack and defend the town. But actually I found that it was counterproductive. Usually what would happen is that the enemy would just get too many soldiers that weren't being attacked at all, so it'd build up too big of an army attacking me, and even though I would gather a force of, like, I don't know, 10 archers or something like that, those archers would just be overwhelmed by the big army that formed at the edge of the base. So you have to kind of find a happy medium of maybe, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 soldiers, and then send them out to try to whittle down the enemy's forces over time. Light news, but the gate is down, and Scout's numbers are still superior to Soldiers. We do have fletching from the TC, which could help if the Scouts run underneath the TC, but it won't be a significant amount of difference. I think back in Age of Kings, researching fletching might have improved the range of the TC. I forget exactly. If so, it was quickly removed. I do know that the two-tone bonus gave +5 range to the TC, which is outrageous at the time. Alright, backman research for Soldier, but they're still attacking the wrong units. So I think that, yep, monastery was denied. The soldier is behind on villagers, but still ahead in resources collected. But unless soldier can defeat most of these scouts in time, I think Scout's advantage will continue to grow. It's kind of unfortunate to see these units keep on chasing down the wrong unit when they could just turn around and attack the ones that are like trying to attack them. We got a lion joining in the fight. I guess soldier's going to insist on building the monastery right here. Those monks aren't going to survive for very long. I wish it was easier for AIs to have better map awareness by default for like where they construct their buildings. Oh, a second monastery. I don't think that's the best way to go, especially not against scouts. But even in a normal game, I don't think you need a second monastery unless you're going for a monk rush. And the monastery was denied anyway. But that's a lot of pikemen. Soldier's army is superior to scouts at this point. So pretty soon this might turn into a game where we'll see if Scout's eco advantage at this point is actually enough to hold on and prevent Soldier from getting too big of an advantage with his pikeman army. I'm also curious to see if Scout will, like, how Scout would develop after this point in the game, to see if Scout will get to Castle Age, upgrade to Light Cav, and maybe adjust his military composition, or if it really is a true all-in feudal and has no game plan after that. Pikemen do have a small bonus against buildings. Yeah, just one. Alright, so we do have some monks coming in. We got some conversions. But I suspect these monks still won't be the best unit to use. Well, 60 hit points is hard to argue against. But for any side besides Aztecs, I'm not sure that they'd be a good choice. Soldier has a second TC, and also placing a second monastery. Scout is still ahead in villager numbers by 10. But with the second TC, I think Soldier will start catching up. Okay, actually this is the third monastery. We have one defensive monastery in the back. Alright, looks like it's time to attack the walls. Yeah, and good to see that Soldier seems to attack walls intelligently, instead of trying to randomly find a way in. And that villager can't go anywhere. 5 scouts converted so far. Maybe some more that could have died. Got a few units that wanted through the gate into Scout's town. I don't think Soldier has any siege at this point. But we do have a castle coming. Yeah, looks like it's inevitable at this point that Soldier, or even if this TC kills off a lot of them, I don't think Scott's able to come back. Soldier's ahead and villagers now. That's what I'll call the game. Alright, so military numbers. Soldiers, Pikewind were the difference here in this game.